In this episode, we're going to talk about how you can...
Stop taking things personally because it's not about you.
No. It's actually never about you. We like to think it is. When people do stuff, when our spouses do stuff, when we feel hurt or angry or agitated, we really like to think that they're doing it deliberately. And you know what? Even if they are doing it deliberately, it's still not about you.
It's about them. Welcome to the Joyful Family Podcast, where we explore how to nurture our relationships, communicate in ways that we feel heard and seen, and create joyful family relationships that last.
We're your hosts,
Vauna
and Roland. Join us on this joyful adventure called family.
So what are the benefits of learning to stop taking things personally?
Well, I know that if I take things personally, it creates a lot of friction between us. And then there's just this feeling that we're both kind of have our feelings hurt. We're both kind of edgy around each other. And when we can eliminate that, then we just work together so much nicer. The feelings between us are good. We flow smoothly. Mm-hmm. And it's happier, way happier.
Way happier. And I think maybe we should back up for a second and explain what we mean when we say that it's not about you, that it's never about you. Because it's easy to think that other people's behavior is about us if it impacts us, especially in a negative way or even in a positive way. It's just really easy to think it's about us. People do what they do ultimately because they've learned those behaviors to meet certain needs that they have. And at an unconscious level, anything a person does, no matter how wonderful or how messed up, is their unconscious mind running a behavioral script that's designed to fulfill a need. So at that level, it's always about them. It's always that that's just what they've learned is an effective in the opinion of their unconscious mind, an effective way to meet that need. Now, it might be a horrible, crappy, I'm not even going to say the words about how messed up it might be, what they're doing to meet that need. It's the best that their unconscious mind knows how to do. So until they learn a better way, that's what they know to do. And that's why we say it isn't about you. It's they're doing their thing. And it may suck and it may hurt, but it's about them. So how do we run with that and stop taking it personally? Especially if it's someone who's in your life. Like, if I do something that Vauna feels hurt by, then...
It's still a choice. Mm-hmm. I make a choice of whether or not to feel hurt. And sometimes it may feel like, well, how can we choose whether or not to feel hurt if they're being hurtful? Well, sometimes they're not even being hurtful. And we make the choice to feel hurt over something that we took personally that wasn't meant personally, or that wasn't meant to be hurtful.
That's the other part of the equation, is that people will do things and we interpret it a certain way because we have our worldview of how we learned and grew and all the things that happened to us in our life. Everything gets filtered through that. And the awareness of that helps, and it still gets filtered through it. So when someone... Okay, I'm going to tell the story about when I used to think you were mad at me all the time. Is that okay?
Please do.
All right, so when we were first married, I used to think that Vauna was mad at me a lot. And I was like, walking around on eggshells, like, oh my gosh, what am I doing? I'm such a screw up. I just can't do anything right. Vauna's always mad at me.
And I'll tell you, this didn't go on just
years.
Right when we were married. We're talking like 15 years, I think, before you asked me. 12. 13,
was it that long?
14.
Anyway,
yeah, we were into the teen years of our marriage.
One day I finally put on my big boy pants and said, when you get that look on your face, what does that mean? And she's like, well, I'm just concentrating. I was like, what? All these years, I thought she was mad at me and she was just concentrating?
I'm sorry. I guess
Why
I
are you
look angry when
sorry?
I'm concentrating.
Why are you sorry? I'm the one who was interpreting it that way. I mean, so things like that, silly misunderstandings that can be easily avoided when you communicate, when you learn to say, so if you don't know, then ask. If you don't know, or if you think someone's behavior means something, well, ask them. You say to your spouse, your partner, say, hey, when you do that, what does it mean? Because this is what it feels like to me. And maybe that's what it means. Great. Then at least you know. And maybe it isn't, but
at least you get clarity, because clarity really matters.
Clarity is power. And again, even if it means exactly what you think it means, then it's still about them. So a healthy marriage involves empathy, compassion, the willingness to work through things. Communication. And so when something is bristling and it just feels like you're going to take it, it just feels like it's about you. I feel like I'm running in circles with this, and I apologize for that. Just ask, what does it mean? Remember, it isn't about you. And in a committed relationship, then you and your partner or spouse can find a way to work through it. Because when Vauna realized that that's how I was taking it, she made an effort to actually change, which wasn't something she needed to do.
But I was glad to know that that's what that had meant to you all those years, and be able to clear up the air on that.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm actually going to tell you about a person I know who won't talk to me, won't look at me. If she sees me, she'll walk the other direction or turn away. And I actually feel pretty bad for this person, because I know that there's something inside her that has her having a real problem with something about me. And whatever it is, I don't really need to know, because that's her issue. And it's not... I'm grateful to be in a place in my life to not have that affect me.
Mm-hmm.
I, have had enough experiences in my life where people don't appreciate my choices or don't agree with my decisions, or the things that matter to me are different than the things that matter to them. And so if they have a lack of respect, then that's their issue, not mine, because the number one thing for me is being in a place where I'm proud of who I am. I'm proud
of who you are too.
Thank you. I'm proud of who you are too. And I'm proud of where we've come. I'm proud of where we've come from and where we're going. And so if this person ever were to decide to start talking to me or being friendly, then I think that we could actually be friends. And if not, I don't have any reason to feel hurt, because it's not about me. It's about something in her that is causing her pain, that for some reason I'm a trigger for that pain. And
well, if I can segue off of that, what's a really good question to ask yourself in a situation where you find yourself taking something personally is, what's going on in their life that they would act that way? That acting that way would make sense. What could be going on in their life? And another one is, what else could this mean? That's a super powerful question. What else could this mean? Because like with Vauna, when I thought she was mad at me, it didn't mean what I thought it meant. And just because in my history as a child, when people had that sort of a facial expression, it was duck and cover time, like dive under the desk and hope they don't notice you. That was never what it meant with Vauna. And once I, actually asked that, then things really changed. So, ask yourself what's going on in their life and what else could this mean? And also be willing to be vulnerable with your partner or spouse. Be willing to talk to them about how you feel and about what your perceptions are, and ask them, what you can do differently, and ask them if there's anything about you that they are having a hard time with or taking personally. And, as you do these things, you'll find your relationship growing stronger and stronger. So that would be, that would be the homework for this episode, is to start asking yourself the two questions: what could be going on in their life that they're acting that way? And what else could this mean? Do you have anything to add?
Just that as you learn to do that, your life will change. The way you feel inside will change. Definitely. The way your interactions with others will blossom. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because this is a method or a technique, if you will, that you can use in all aspects of your life. It certainly can be expanded to anybody that you interact with.
So I actually have a story about that. And this is an embarrassing one to tell. One time, this was years ago, and it was a very, very stressful time in my life. And we had we had 3 small children at the time. And we were driving somewhere, and we were driving down the road, and it's a road that's, it's in a small town, and it's a road that doesn't have a lot of, the cross traffic has stop signs. There are very few stop signs on this road. And we're driving along, and Roland was following me in a separate vehicle, and I had our 3 small children in the car with me. And I'm just driving along, and I was on the phone with Roland, and this truck coming the other direction just suddenly slams its brakes on and slides and almost hits me. And I was like, what? And I said to Roland, what is wrong with that guy? Why would he run his stop sign? And that's when he told me that I'm the one that ran the stop sign. And I had been I must have been in a really stressful state at that time that I could not even realize that I had a stop sign at that moment. And, it was funny. It's interesting because it's human nature to blame others for the things that we do that cause problems sometimes. Mm-hmm. So immediately, it wasn't that I had a stop sign. It was that guy had run his stop sign. And so how often in our lives are we taking our own shortcomings and projecting them onto others?
Yeah, that's a really good message. How often in life are we blaming others for their behavior when we ran the stop sign?
Thanks for listening to the Joyful Family Podcast. If you've enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, share, and leave a review. Follow us on Instagram at Vauna Bird Family Coach and Roland Bird Author. Learn more about our work at vaunabird.com. Stay tuned. We're looking forward to sharing more with you next week.